only overshadowed by the incredible work that's being done here within this facility. It's just amazing. And I have to first acknowledge and thank the Minister for coming. It's first time meeting in person because of COVID, and it's greatly appreciated that you took the opportunity to come here and join us today. Thank you so much. And of course, Minister Byrne is here today for this incredible announcement, and I have to, of course, acknowledge my dear friend Scott Sims as we are in your home turf here today. And the entire cabinet who's here on a cabinet retreat. It's incredibly important that we travel around the province to ensure that we are representing you, not just through COVID, but through the economic development, and so that you can see that we are actually actioning our priorities. And one of the top priorities that I've laid out from the very beginning is immigration. And that's why we're here today. So this is an incredibly beautiful establishment here in Kings Point, Newfoundland and Labrador. And Brad here, who runs a family business, sorry for the fly, which has been in business, and now they're ready to pass it on almost to the third generation, right, Brad, wherever Brad is, and has been building recreation boats for more than over 35 years. We all know how important boats are for Newfoundland and Labrador's economy and recreation. It's a business that understands the value of employing newcomers to Newfoundland and Labrador. Many thanks for hosting us, to you and your family, Brad. Thank you so much. We have set aggressive, aspirational targets that we are going to meet. By 2026, our government plans to welcome 5,100 newcomers to Newfoundland and Labrador. So numbers mean nothing without perspective. So let's put it in context. 5,100 newcomers, that's one Marystown, or nearly 2 Springdales, every single year to Newfoundland and Labrador. Our province, as we all know, has a significant population and demographic crisis. Newfoundland is the only province in our great country with a declining population and a low fertility rate. Decades ago, this province was built on the hard work of a generation that had 6 children for every senior. Well, now there are almost 2 seniors for every child. That is unsustainable. I hear it over and over again from employees. They simply can't find the labor force required to fill the jobs that they have available. Good jobs, well-paying jobs, jobs that will drive the future of our economy. Immigration is a big part of the solution to that problem. Today's announcement to formally extend the bilateral immigration agreement between the Government of Canada and the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador is about solutions. Ones that are achieved, as we've seen over and over again, by working in collaboration with our federal partners. It's something that I said that we would definitely achieve through collaboration. And we have seen in the last few weeks how significant that collaboration can be with direct impacts to Newfoundland and Labrador. This agreement sets out joint objectives and defines the roles and responsibilities of how we can work together on immigration. As we extend it, we continue to negotiate a new agreement, which will help quicken our pace to achieve this province's necessary goals for immigration. This agreement complements the Atlantic Growth Strategy, which includes the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. Here in Newfoundland and Labrador, just so far this year, 275 new employees and 300 of their family members were helped towards permanent residency through the Atlantic Immigration Pilot and the Provincial Nominee Program. This province has invited almost 400 people in the healthcare sector to apply for permanent residency as a part of our priority skills NL pathway. And in the coming weeks, we will be extending invitations to professionals in the technology and aquaculture sectors. This innovation and collaboration in action is exactly the kind of approach that will support Newfoundland and Labrador's prosperity and strengthen Canada in general. So thank you, Minister. We're so privileged to have you joining us here today. Your presence here alone truly recognizes the fact that Canada appreciates where we want to go with immigration, and that can't be understated. So thank you so much for taking the time to come. And I have to say a special thank you to Minister Byrne, who, when I tapped to take on this portfolio, We've had many discussions about how passionate I am about immigration, but he shares that passion, that drive, that enthusiasm, recognizing that the crisis is now acute and urgent as we approach a demographic cliff. And so, Minister Byrne, thank you for your passion, your energy, your enthusiasm in driving this file forward. We can't do it without your leadership, sir, so thank you very much. And thank you to everyone out there who's working hard to attract newcomers to their businesses, their communities, to help create sustainable opportunities for families into the future in Newfoundland and Labrador. Immigrants and newcomers not only create economic opportunities through a strong entrepreneurial strength, but they help create diversity. And diversity in and of itself is strength. So thank you for helping create strength and grow a stronger Newfoundland and Labrador, and indeed, a stronger Canada. Thank you very much. I'll ask the Minister to come up to the podium.
Well, thanks very much, Premier, for that very warm and generous introduction. I'm so glad to be here at Kings Point, surrounded by a great many friends. And Brad, where are you? There you are. Thank you for hosting. Just on the way in this morning, Minister Byrne said to me, have you had the chance to visit Scott Sims' bathtub? And I said to Brad, well, why don't we just get out in the boat and take a little wheel around the bay? And we did that. So we saw your bathtub there, Scott. Looks quite nice. And, look, all kidding aside, Premier, it's great to be here surrounded by your entire cabinet. I think we should convene a meeting right now, get some more business done here. You've got full quorum. This is the way you do it. This is the way you do it when you come to Newfoundland and Labrador. I have to say how excited I am to be here for a whole host of reasons. One, because I know what immigration means to this government and to the people of this province. We are here to deliver on that commitment, but I also know what it means on a very personal and local level. Brad was telling me that his dad, Dudley, where's Dudley? Where is he? Over there. Dudley is, as you know, handed off the business to Brad, and Dudley's now retired, and in retirement, he's showing up to work every single day. Still coming around, making sure everybody's, still alive, still kicking, doing the do, and making sure that everybody's earning an honest living. But among the people that are here, we've got John and Edmund. Why don't you wave over there? We got two wonderful newcomers who've been here. And John, put your hand up. Yeah. Okay. Recently just got his permanent resident status, and Edmund got his permanent resident status, and this is the story of immigration in Canada. They're hardworking guys who are coming here, and they're building great boats. You got 22 footers, you got 28 footers. That's the one we just took a little wheel out on the Sea Serpent. And this is why I was so excited and so enthusiastic to be able to come and make this announcement today here at Kings Point. The Premier put it into really sharp focus what's at stake. And we all know that Canada's a great country of immigrants. It's what brought my family here. That's what brought many of our families here over the generations. But the fact is that we've got job shortages in a whole variety of sectors. I think about the healthcare sector coming out of the pandemic and the challenges that we face in getting enough doctors, getting enough nurses, getting enough caregivers to look after people who have really had a hard time throughout the pandemic. And one of the ways in which we can supply reinforcements to the front lines of the healthcare sector is through immigration. And Premier, I know, given your background, you know full well what's at stake. So that's one really important reason why it's important that we continue to chart out a course forward. The other is, as the Premier mentioned, is that we've got a declining birth rate here in Canada. And the fact is that without immigration, we're going to have a harder time making sure that we protect universal health care, that we protect public education, and that we protect retirement security, which after a full career and giving back, we all want Canadians to be able to retire with that dignity. Immigration can be there to safeguard those promises, and that's why it's important that we chart out a course so that we can drive our economic recovery and protect our long-term prosperity. And that's precisely what we've been doing throughout the pandemic. we haven't been resting on our laurels. We've been finding ways to create new pathways for immigrants, both those who are starting to come back, but also for those temporary immigrants who are already in Canada. For example, the Essential Workers Pathway, which allows those workers in Canada to transition from temporary status to permanent status. I also think about the International Student Program, and I know, for example, at many good schools like at Memorial U, you've got young, hard-working, hustling talent from around the world who want to come to Newfoundland and Labrador to pick up an education and to take that next chapter in their life, and they're choosing to stay here. And that's really, again, the promise of Canada. So all kinds of innovation going on in the immigration sector, and the partnership that we are developing with the business community, including your business, Brad, through the Atlantic Immigration Pilot, which was a way to specifically partner with local business owners to sponsor newcomers who have the specific skill set that is required to fill the job vacancies, is something that has been an unparalleled success throughout Atlantic Canada. What we're seeing is that literally thousands are coming in under the AIP, and not only are they coming to Atlantic Canada, but they're choosing to stay here. And that's really going to be the way that we continue to drive our population numbers in the right direction. And so finally, I'll just say that the whole point of the visit today is to renew the Canada, Newfoundland, Labrador immigration agreement so that we can continue to build that promise and that prosperity forward. And so it's with a lot of excitement and delight that we are going to renew that agreement for 1 year. And thank you, Premier, for putting your John Doe on it. If you haven't, you're going to do very soon. But the real long-term goal after that is to make sure that we come back and we renew it even longer than that. Because we know that this isn't just going to be a 1 year thing, that it's going to be a multiple year project. And we know that we can do that work in partnership with Newfoundland and Labrador. And I want to give a huge shout out to the MP here, the local MP here. That's you. You're the legend over here. It's Scott Sims, whose bathtub we visited just out back there. You guys know Scott. He works hard. He's experienced. He shows great wisdom, and he cares about his community. And I know he cares about this file. And we'll save the stories. We'll save the stories about your bathtub for another day. But it is honestly a great honor and privilege to be here. I want to thank everybody for joining. It's great to see so many faces out here. Next time we'll be able to do some fishing in season, of course, right, Brad? And thank you again all very much for having me. Merci beaucoup.
Well, thank you very much. You can understand why I love my job. My job is to grow Newfoundland and Labrador. And when you see, when you hear, and when you experience the fire of two people who are working in common cause, my premier, the minister, the federal minister responsible for immigration, the person who is going to really be a leading driving force into changing our demographics. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? It's because we need to grow our province. We need to look to new ways to offset the demographic challenge, but I'll tell you why we're doing this. There are 3 newcomers, new permanent residents to Canada, to Newfoundland and Labrador, and to Kings Point here at Green Bay Fibre Products. They're supporting 8 employees who are really part of the backbone of this business as well, that making sure that they have jobs for a very long time to come. That's the partnership we need. So I love my job because we are developing a partnership like I've never seen it before, with the federal minister at his shop, his department, the premier leading the charge here in Newfoundland and Labrador to grow our province so that not only do we attract newcomers, honored newcomers, we are honored to have our newcomers in our presence, but we're making sure that the 8 employees that have been long-time employees of Green Bay Fibre always have jobs to come. Because if you cannot grow a business, if you have constant labor shortages, if you have skills shortages, Brad knows you cannot grow your business and your business is not stable. And that's why Brad has chosen to not only recruit and to train and to work with people from Kings Point and the Green Bay area, but to attract new talent, because he is a driving force of economic development and job creation in our province. Couldn't think of a better setting to do this announcement. Couldn't think of a better setting. So I want to thank Brian Warr, credible MHA, who's done, the cabinet, the provincial cabinet is here in Green Bay, in Kings Point, in this area, because we've got an MHA who's just absolutely dedicated to the needs and to the opportunities of this area. And I know, working with Scott Sims as long as I have, you got a force to be reckoned with. He's not only a legend, but he is just the creme de la creme. Way to go, Scott. So with that said, we've got work to do. We've got a lot of work to do. But the other reason why I love my job so much is not only because I'm working with leaders, but I'm working with community. We're all in this together. We are growing Newfoundland and Labrador. We're all in this together, and together we are going to grow our province. God bless everyone. Thank you very much.
Scott, go on up, legend. The creme de la creme.
No pressure at all now. So here I am standing in front of the Premier. I'm standing in front of the Federal Minister of Immigration, Provincial Minister, the entire cabinet. I got to look at the camera from this one. I feel absolutely intoxicated with power. And I'm 5'0". Okay, so greetings, folks. Thank you for being here. I'm absolutely charmed. The Federal Minister's riding is in Toronto. Well, how's this for an eye-opener? Rural MPs spend a lot of time, rural MHAs spend a lot of time in the city, whether it's Ottawa or St. John's. We get around to Toronto a lot, but we don't always get you guys out here into the smallest of communities. And by the way, if you were here longer, I would take you to another community. It's called Tilt Cove. The reason why I take you to Tilt Cove is because it's the smallest incorporated town in all of Canada. It has 4 people. Yeah, you can canvass the entire town in 5 minutes. It's perfect. You got to get them together. That's the only thing. Okay, so I'm in charge of the benediction, apparently. So let me end by saying this. August 12th, 1941. Why is that a big deal? It was a big deal for Newfoundland and Labrador because there was a huge meeting in Placentia Bay. It was attended by Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Winston Churchill. So where am I going with this? The reason why I say that is because when Winston Churchill was in Newfoundland, in the Bay, he said quite clearly, these Newfoundlanders are the best small boat persons I've ever seen in my life. Problem is, he was half right. We are also the best small boat builders in the entire world. And now you're seeing it firsthand. Thank you so much. I also want to say a huge thank you to the people. I mean, look, there are big titles behind me for reasons obvious. They're very good at what they do. I'm not just saying it because we're all liberals, but anyway, I'm saying it because we're all good at what we do. But we don't get to do what we do unless we go from the base degrees by who do all the work for us. I want to say a very special hello to Mayor Gillingham, who's the mayor of Kings Point. You're the reason why we make these big announcements. There's another inspiration we need to talk about. They're also the main reason why we're here. Brad, I'll get to you in just a sec. I mean, you're a very important guy, don't get me wrong. But if I may, can you please join me in saying a huge thank you for sparking this whole thing happening today? Dudley, Phyllis, thank you so much for all that you do. This is all about you. This is the Atlantic Growth Strategy, the implementation, the act on the Immigration Implementation. This is what we all cure for, is that you started this to inspire us to grow this region. And we know we have to grow it because we now have our newest Canadians here to prove that you're now an international world inspiration for building the best darn boats that you can imagine. Thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me. I play a small role in this. I'm going to let the minister get back on his travel ways. He probably has to go back to his riding in the next little while. I don't know why, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, it's good to see you folks. Premier, thank you. This is big for you, but it's also big for us. Thank you. Gerry, I always look up to you. You know that. By the way, former MP here too, by the way. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Scott, and thank you, everyone. We will now proceed to the press conference portion of the event. I think we're going to start with folks who are here in the room first and then go on to Zoom. So anyone has a question, one follow-up, take it away. Okay, so we'll go right to Zoom then. On procédera directement au Zoom pour les journalistes francophones. So, you want to take it away?
Hi there, Richard Duggan here from VOCM. Question for Minister Byrne. We're talking about bringing in 5,100 newcomers by 2026 into the province. How important is it to put an emphasis on rural Newfoundland specifically when trying to reach our immigration targets?
It's very important. You know, rural Newfoundland and Labrador may not be traditionally seen as a place for new Canadians and new permanent residents, but we're here in Green Bay Fibre Products here in Kings Point, where that myth, that fallacy has been dispelled. New Canadians, new permanent residents are part of the very core of this incredibly successful business. One of the reasons why we're here in Kings Point is to emphasize that not only in major centers like St. John's and Grand Falls, Windsor and Gander and Corner Brook and St. Anthony and Goose Bay, Happy Valley Goose Bay, will immigration play a huge role in growing our province, but getting new skills, new talent in all sectors, in all regions of our province is a fundamental requirement for growth, and we will succeed in that objective, and we will go beyond 5,100 as time tells. I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
For the folks on, oh, sorry, go ahead.
And my second question would be for the federal minister, if I could. With the pandemic, people are cautious about moving around just for leisure, let alone to make a permanent move. And that could be newcomers coming to Canada or moving from province to province. So what are we doing at the federal level to encourage immigration at a time when many still want to stay put because of the pandemic?
Yeah, it's a great question. And obviously we're determined at the federal level of government, but I think right across the country to finish the fight against the pandemic. And the good news is that Canadians are taking up the cause. They've made great sacrifices following a lot of the same common sense rules that you've been talking about with social distancing, but also getting vaccinated. I mean, that has to be the centerpiece of our strategy. And it's so encouraging to see that those numbers continue to go up. Well over 80% of Canadians with their first dose, over 70% having received their second dose and fully vaccinated, which is why we're able to now start to reopen the economy and reopen our borders. And in the meantime, what we've been doing is keeping immigration going. We've been reimagining the way that we do immigration. We've been looking at the accessible domestic talent pool that already exists within Canada, by identifying temporary workers who work, for example, in the healthcare sector, working in the agricultural sector, working in the building and trade sector, and transitioning them to permanent status. Why is that good? Because it enhances their job security. It creates a longer-term career horizon for them, but it also encourages them to put down their roots in the communities in which they already live. And not just, in big cities, but in rural Canada, right here in Kings Point. We just heard about one of the great employees here, Edmund, at Green Bay Fiberglass, who's got his permanent resident status. That's how you chart out a course of opportunity and prosperity in the midst of a pandemic. And we're going to keep innovating. And today's announcement is another milestone where we're building on the success of immigration by renewing an agreement with the province of Newfoundland and Labrador so that we can continue those opportunities going forward.
Thank you.
For any media who are joining us via Zoom, if you could use the raise your hand feature if you want to ask a question, and we'll go through the list in that order. And I see Louis has your hand up. You can go ahead.
Oui, bonjour. Question pour le ministre de l'Immigration, M. Mendicino. Je veux vous entendre sur le passeport vaccinal que vous avez annoncé hier pour voyager. Espérez-vous que les provinces vont utiliser pour un usage domestique votre preuve vaccinale? Est-ce que vous les encouragez à le faire?
Mais merci pour la question. Comme nous avons dit hier, nous avons annoncé la prochaine étape de le programme pour les passeports de vaccination. C'est une collaboration, c'est un projet national, mais c'est un projet que nous faisons ensemble en étroite collaboration avec les provinces et les territoires. C'est un projet que nous espérons on va lancer à l'automne plus tôt que possible. Et sur l'aspect de votre question technique, oui, je comprends qu'il faut continuer de chercher les détails sur les technologies et la façon comment nous avons partagé l'accès à l'information et pour établir un système de preuve pour le passeport. Donc, ça, c'est les bons travaux qui vont continuer avec urgence avec les provinces et les territoires qui avaient la responsabilité pour la santé publique.
Il y a des premiers ministres provinciaux comme Jason Kenney et Doug Ford qui rejettent l'idée d'un passeport vaccinal dans le contexte que l'on connaît. Il y a la progression du variant Delta, il y a une possible 4e vague. Croyez-vous que c'est prudent de leur part de s'opposer comme ça au passeport vaccinal dans leur province, surtout quand la communauté médicale le recommande?
Écoute, comme mon collègue le ministre Leblanc a dit hier, il y a des lignes de communication qui restent ouvertes et claires entre nous, de notre côté, sur le niveau de le gouvernement fédéral et le niveau des gouvernements provinciaux. Je sais que le premier ministre d'Alberta et Ontario sont en train de considérer leur projet. Mais de notre côté, la plus importante chose de communiquer avec eux et nous restons là pour continuer le bon travail, d'encourager tous les Canadiens de prendre la vaccination, d'encourager le Canadien d'utiliser ce projet national pour continuer le processus de réouvrir l'économie, de continuer le processus de réouvrir notre frontière. Donc, ils peuvent recommencer leur plan de voyage. Donc, nous sommes en train de continuer ce projet avec les provinces et les territoires.
Merci, Louis. I don't believe we have any other questions, but if I notice we have CTV on the line in case they'd like to ask a question. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Exciting day for Newfoundland and Labrador.
Before we break up, can I just say a huge thank you to the gentleman who probably made all the vast majority of this happen, Brian Warr.
Hey.